Hi everyone, this is TOJ. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about compression in house music. I'll be going through some of the tips and techniques used by professionals in the industry. Also, I'll be looking at the controls of the compressor. Alright, let's get started. Now down the bottom here of Ableton Live 8, I've got a compressor loaded in my drum track. Okay, to do that, all you have to do is go up to the left hand side of the interface and click on the live device browser. Okay, and then just scroll up and down till you find compressor and then just double click on it. And then it'll come down into your audio track or your MIDI track. Now compressors are an amazing tool. I wouldn't overuse them. I tend to only put them on, say, my kick drum or my hats, my clap, any bongos or percussion I'm using. Use it sort of sparingly on synths because you don't want to, crush the crap out of them because you take away all their harmonics and they sound a little bit. They all almost distort and they just don't sound as clean. The first thing we're going to have a look at is the threshold. Okay, that's just located here, sort of on the left-hand side of the compressor. Now, if I move that down and then up again, you'll see the interface is starting to work. Alright, that means that we're getting some gain reduction. So if I pull it all the way down to minus 66 dB, okay, that's on full threshold. And the gain reduction will come down, down, down as you pull the threshold down. Okay, and that's the gain reduction of the sound that you're using. Okay, I tend to only stick in between, say, minus 10. Alright, around about there, all the way to about minus 30. Usually I find a happy place sort of in between there. Okay, and if the gain reduction's not triggering and if you're not seeing a yellow bar come down here, it's not working. You must have this coming down to at least minus 6, maybe minus 8, but round about minus 6 dB to get a nice crisp attack on your drums or your hats or your claps. Alright. Now the next thing I'm going to have a look at is the ratio. Now if I move that up and down, you'll see the interface working again. Alrighty. If I push it all the way up, it goes to infinite. Alright, we don't want to be up there, it's too much. Usually I stick around about 2.1 to 6.1. Alright. The best thing to do though, good trick that I learned, threshold and ratio are really good buddies. Play around with them together. As the first thing when you open up a compressor and you've got a hat or a clap or whatever you're compressing, move them both up and down until you find a nice little crisp sound. That's just a very basic sort of technique that people use, and it's definitely a good way to get a nice piece of compression on some of your drums and instruments. Alright, next thing I'm going to look at is your knee. Okay, if I push that up, the knee softens, okay, into a complete soft knee. I tend to only use soft knee on mastering or vocals. I always use hard knee on all my drums and synths, etc., just to give it a nice attack and a nice crispy snap at the beginning of the instrument. Okay, the next thing I'm going to look at is your attack. Now if I move that right down the bottom, it's 0.1 milliseconds, and you should go up to a second. Yep. Fast attack often gives you a nice snap of the drum. It can also distort it, so be a bit careful with that. Lately I've been using it sort of around about between 10 and 30 milliseconds. It could be wrong. Some nerd will tell me it's not the way to do compression or not the way to use it. I really don't give a shit. It sounds good, and that's what it comes down to. Now, the buddy of the attack is obviously the release. Now, fast release, once again, gives you a nice snappy sort of a feel to the compression or the instrument that you're using it on. I tend not to use it. I still like to hang around about 20, maybe up to about 60, depending on what I'm compressing. Okay, you play around with these two after you've had a play around with the threshold and the ratio. Just use or do whatever sounds good to your ear. As long as you're getting gain reduction, it doesn't matter. There's no rules in music. There's no rules to compression. People use lots of compression, and then on your next track they'll use a little bit of compression just to see the variations in the sound that they get. Best just to relax on it and just take it easy. Even use some of the presets which are located underneath and just have a play around with those. Okay, I sometimes put in the moderate one. I double click on it and just see what happens to the sound, and then just have a little bit of a play around with it and see how you go. Alright, so that's the basics of compression. The only other thing that I'll show you is the output, which is over here on your right. Sometimes when you compress, the instrument gets really, really loud, so you've just got to drop the output or the makeup gain down a little bit just so it blends into the mix better. And there's a few other things here, like your look ahead, your model, and your envelope. Don't really worry about those for the time being. I've never really changed them, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure you could use the Opto or the RMS for certain effects, and it might sound a little bit better. But just for the start and just for basics, just use the peak. Okay. Now in the next video, I'll be actually loading an instrument, and then I'll be using the compressor and showing you the tips and techniques that we've used or learnt in this video. Also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I need some more fans, and it's always good to talk to people. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a line and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Alright guys, cheers. See you in the next video.